time to spotlight the presidential race and how it impacts the market, your money, the portfolio. Mike Townsend is with us, Managing Director, Legislative and Regulatory Affairs at Charles Schwab. So glad you are with us. So, look, the Democrats have had an exciting week. This is the fourth night of the Democratic National Convention. What are the expectations? This is the biggest night of all, right?
Yeah, Nicole, this is going to be really interesting tonight. This is a big night for Kamala Harris, no question. I think we've seen a very successful convention by the Democrats over the last 3 days. And really, over the last month, everything's been going kind of their way. You've seen a lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of unity among Democrats, and a lot of fundraising. But for a lot of voters, I think Kamala Harris, the thing they know most about her right now is she's not Joe Biden. And tonight is really a chance for her to kind of make her own case and introduce herself to the American people. And I think it's going to be really interesting to watch.
Yeah, look, when we came out of the Republican National Convention, there was a lot of momentum there, right? There was a lot of excitement there. And then you had the change, right? Biden out, Kamala in. And it's exciting for folks at this point. And it sounds like the Trump team is waiting for the play card of this to die down, just the same way that the Republicans died down. But what's interesting now, and you tell me, because those battleground states, which were leaning more to the Republican side, seeming more like a toss-up now, right?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true. And, your point about coming out of the conventions, there's always kind of a bounce in the polls out of the conventions. I think we saw that for the Republicans. I think we'll see it for the Democrats. But really, the race is very close, and it's going to be close all the way to November. And as you mentioned, 7 battleground states: Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. And in all of them, Trump was ahead of Biden a month, 6 weeks ago, and they're all now in that toss-up category. And I think they're going to remain really close. What Kamala Harris has really done here over the last few weeks is open up kind of more paths to victory. She can get different combinations that really didn't seem like they were on the table for Joe Biden. North Carolina and Nevada in particular seemed like they just weren't going to happen for Biden. I think Harris has put those states in the mix. So I think it's going to be really close all the way. We've got a debate in early September. We got a vice presidential debate on October 1st. So a lot more twists and turns probably to come.
Yeah, the presidential debate, there may be 1 or 2, maybe even 3, who knows? That being said, it looks like at least 1 or 2. Let's talk about the market and how the market is watching all of this so closely. I do want to talk about Jackson Hole tomorrow, but since we're on the election part of this, let's stay on it for a moment. The market hasn't been reacting so much, or it has? Or is it when we get closer to that November date?
Nicole, I don't think the market cares a lot about the circus and the kind of daily noise of the election. Tons of headlines, obviously, lots of eyeballs. But I think the market is kind of looking at this as the sort of normal ups and downs of a presidential campaign. And probably we'll look at it all the way to the fall. You're certainly having the market start to think about the policy side of things. What's going to happen with taxes? What's going to happen with the debt ceiling debate in 2025 that are coming? And so in order to be part of that consideration, the market also is watching what's happening on Capitol Hill, because ultimately, presidential candidates can say all sorts of things on the campaign trail, but it's Congress that is going to put those into law. So there's a lot of interest in how it's going to shake out on Capitol Hill. Right now, I think Republicans are really well positioned to take over the Senate, but I think Democrats have at least a decent shot of taking over the House of Representatives. If that happens, we have a split Congress no matter who wins the White House, and you have a much more complicated policy environment in 2025. So I think, the markets are trying to kind of assess how that's all going to play out, but it's going to be really hard to know until we get to November and we see what the results are.
Yeah, and sometimes if you have exactly that you described, that would be sort of a lame duck session, and then a lot of things don't happen because they can't pass anything, right? And then with that might be good for the markets, right? Sometimes the market likes when there's just that that now they know exactly that nothing really is going through in a big way. That being said, I wanted to turn your attention to Jackson Hole tomorrow. Jay Powell, our Fed head, is speaking. We're expecting the rate cuts. You're watching the labor markets. What do you think?
Yeah, I think everyone's going to be really scrutinizing what Powell says at Jackson Hole tomorrow, and really, it's the indication. I think everyone expects there's going to be a rate cut at the September meeting, but I certainly think 50 basis points is on the table, particularly after yesterday's, disappointing revisions news on the labor statistics. So, this is one of those great opportunities to parse every word that Jerome Powell says. There's going to be lots of other officials from around the world who are going to be talking over the next couple of days. But, Powell's going to be front and center. Everyone's going to be watching that tomorrow morning, no question.
Yeah, understood. I mean, tonight, as we said, big night for Harris to introduce herself. To your point, a lot of people don't know that she was a candidate back in 2019 for a time. So, yeah, she's not Joe Biden, right? And so what kind of message does she need to get out to folks to try and swing voters? Because there are a lot of people who are still undecided, or maybe those who are just fed up with the whole thing and saying, I'm staying home.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's really the kind of group I'm looking at. I don't feel like there are sort of traditional undecided voters. When you think of undecided voters, you think of the TV networks going to a diner in Wisconsin and talking to 8 voters, around a table or something like that. This year, I think it's really about enthusiasm, and Republicans had a big advantage in the enthusiasm metric, a month or so ago. Now that's really swung towards Democrats. I think both parties are going to be really focused on getting their voters out. And that's going to be the main goal here over the next few months. But I think tonight, Harris has to not only introduce herself, but start to lay out her policy positions. She's done a little bit of it on the economic front, but we all know the economy remains number one. Certainly the border is another issue that she's going to have to be more, I think, articulate about. I think she's had the opportunity so far to, kind of leave some of these policy positions at a very high level. That's going to start to change as we head into the fall. She's going to have more details. And I think the markets are going to be watching to see what some of those policies are around taxes and other issues. So she's got a lot of balls that she's got to sort of keep in the air tonight. And we'll see how she does. It's going to be really interesting.
I agree, Mike. I think a lot of people just really want to hear more about policy and less about politics, because that in the end can really, affect your daily life. Thank you so much, Mike Townsend of Charles Schwab. Great to see you again. Last time we saw each other at the Impact Conference. So glad you're back. Right. We'll have an exciting couple of months now going into November. Thank you.